Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Q&A with Ozenan. We've done this once before, so if you scroll back in my YouTube videos, you can see the Q&A that we did a couple months ago. Very fascinating. And so we're going to do that again today. I've collected questions from lots of different people, and we will get to as many questions as time allows. Um, my name is Brittany Wittig. If you're here for the first time, I am a direct verbal channel for a collective of beings who speak as one. They call themselves Ozenan. That name is definitely for our purposes as humans, because we like names. So they call themselves Ozenan, and they are a fifth dimensional consciousness. So they have access to everything, all information. They have access to all of our guides. So some of the questions that are asked will be a little more personal, some will be more big picture. The thing that I would encourage though is if you feel drawn to this and you're watching this, listen to the entire recording because very often someone else's question will have something in it for you because this is the way that Ozanon works. They know because time and space is not a thing for them. They know every single person that is ever going to watch this transmission. And so they are tailoring this transmission to you if you are watching. So, yeah, that's the basics. The way this will work is I will take everyone through a short breathing exercise. I would highly recommend that you do this with me. Um, that will bring all of our energies together so that Ozanon can come through me a little more clearly. And then they will offer a transmission, and then they will open up for questions. And my facilitator, Frankie, will be asking those questions that all of you submitted. And I'd love to give Frankie an opportunity to introduce herself.
Hi, I go by Frankie. My name is Frances Trehole, and I've been working with Brittany. I don't even know how many years now, but
Yeah.
we met over the internet, and she guided me through some uh, intuitive questions. Like I spent a year asking all these intuitive questions, and she was there before me, so I was able to um, really have this experience of my intuition expanding. So
Mm.
this is part of my intuition expanding. So now I facilitate women's circles. I love facilitating in this space because I have this curiosity about, the spiritual world and what's out there versus who I was being before this. And that was just a person who was just doing a lot of stuff and being really exhausted and in a lot of pain.
Mm.
So now I'm a women's circle facilitator. I have published in 4 books that are award-winning books, and I am also a medical intuitive and a Reiki master. So my whole life has changed because I walked down this path. And I'm just super curious what Azanan has to say. And it, just to have this opportunity, you know, when I'm doing things alone, having a spiritual moment, um, sometimes it's easy to doubt myself. But in this context, in a group context, in a facilitated group context where we're all open and all focused on the same thing, it just I feel like there's some sacredness, room for clarity. And that's what I really appreciate. And that's why I'm here. But facilitate as much as possible.
Mm. Thank you for being here, Frankie. Frankie is a truly talented facilitator, and I highly recommend that you check out her women's circles. I would actually love to put a link to Frankie's work in the description box below this video. So if you'd like to connect with her, check that out. Okay. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do is I am going to take us through a short breathing exercise. It's best if you can do this with your eyes closed, so not something you necessarily want to do while you are driving or doing something else. Once we've done this exercise, if you then want to listen while doing something else, that would be totally okay and appropriate. Okay, so just closing down your eyes. Beginning to allow yourself to get more comfortable, perhaps finding a more comfortable position where you're seated. Maybe you want to lie down. Hmm. And beginning to very consciously slow down your breathing, allowing yourself to take longer and deeper breaths, choosing to notice the air moving in and out of your lungs. And as you're slowing down your breathing, knowing that this is a time and a space where you can connect deeply with yourself, with the earth, and with the universe, allowing yourself to sink into the surface you are sitting or laying on, and allowing that surface to rise up and hold your body, relaxing in to this moment. And as you breathe, noticing the sensation of air moving into your nostrils and the sensation of air moving out of your mouth or nostrils. And beginning to imagine that there are two tiny tendrils of light at the very center of each of your feet, at the sole of each foot, in the very center, there is a tiny tendril of light. And these tendrils of light grow longer and longer and longer, making their way down into the earth beneath you, wherever you are. These tendrils of light that are part of you make their way down, down into the soil, down, down through layers of earth, through layers of rock, magma, down, down. Your tendrils of light get longer and make their way deeper and deeper into the earth until finally they reach the very center of the planet. And at the very center of the earth, there is an enormous cavernous space. And within that cavernous space, there is a great tree growing. And however you see this tree at the heart of the earth is perfect for you. And your tendrils of light are drawn to this tree. And they very gently wrap themselves around its trunk as though they're giving this beautiful tree at the heart of the earth a gentle hug. And as they do, this tree responds by beginning to pulse with energy. And this energy pulses right into your tendrils of light, beginning to fill your tendrils. This pulsing heart energy of the earth makes its way up, up, up your tendrils of light, up through the layers of rock, up through the soil, through the earth beneath you, up, up, until finally this heart energy of Gaia makes its way into your feet, beginning to fill your body. Breathe here for a few moments, allowing yourself to be filled with this potent earth energy. And now beginning to imagine that there is a cactus sitting on the very top of your head. And any cactus that you see here is perfect for you, any variety, any form or shape. And as you envision this cactus sitting on the very top of your head, you notice a bright, bright beam of sunlight shooting directly from our sun into this cactus and through the cactus into the top of your head, beginning to fill your body with sunlight, with life source energy. And breathe here for a few moments, allowing this sunlight, this life force energy to mix and mingle with the heart energy of the earth that is already within you. And know that in this moment, you are deeply grounded to the earth and deeply connected to the sun, which is the heart of our solar system. And know that in this moment, you are perfectly suspended between the dark and the light. And when you're ready, take one more deep breath. And when you're ready, gently opening your eyes back up. Okay. And for those who are new to these transmissions, um, that initial breathing exercise is also channeled, and it is unique to the person or groups of people that I am breathing with. Mhm. Okay, I'm going to drink a little water. And then I will close my eyes and bring Ozenan through. If this is your first time with one of these channeled transmissions from Ozenan, I am a direct verbal channel, which means that they are speaking through me. They speak as one through me. And I am conscious and aware while they speak. What it feels like for me is that I'm in a tunnel, almost like I'm in a tunnel at the back of my consciousness. Uh, and I always have the power to stop, um, to pause. I don't lose control. I offer it to them instead. Okay, so I'm going to drink some water and bring them in. Yes, we are here, and we are pleased to communicate with all of you in this way. We recognize that there are many new faces that will be viewing this transmission today, many souls that have not previously connected with our transmissions. And we are grateful to you for being here. We are also, of course, grateful for those of you who have been viewing these transmissions for some time now. We would like to begin by pointing out that many humans at this time are feeling tired, are feeling overwhelmed, are feeling emotionally wrung out. This is no surprise. There is much occurring in your physical 3D reality. And of course, that means that there is also much occurring in the non-physical realms at this time. There has been a great acceleration of change, a great acceleration of expansion mm, for your 3D reality. And that has originated in a great acceleration and expansion in your non-physical realms. Mm, We would encourage each of you at this time to be very gentle with yourselves, to find ways to anchor yourselves in your own inner world. And this is something that we have spoken about before several times. And we would like to reiterate this today because this is becoming extremely essential and important. And one of the ways that we would recommend that you anchor within yourself is by taking breaks from being connected through your technology to the entire collective. And what we mean by this is your social media, your television, your podcasts, choosing to take breaks from these things and be present with what is actually in front of you in your 3D reality, whether that be the humans that are in your 3D reality, perhaps pieces of art or crafts that you may wish to work on in your 3D reality. Perhaps you would like to garden, work with plants. Perhaps you would simply like to take a walk in your 3D reality without headphones in, without being connected to mm, some form of human media. This is going to be a particularly potent practice at this time because it is going to allow you to connect deeply and clearly with your own inner reality anchor, your own inner sense of wholeness and peace. And we understand that for many of you, when you first attempt to unplug from the internet, from social media for any period of time, you may find it uncomfortable. You may find that you feel a little bored. You may find that you feel a little restless. You may find that your mind is racing. And for this reason, we would encourage you to make this a regular practice. You can begin with small periods of disconnection, perhaps half of a day, and then maybe a full day, working your way up to breaks from connection that last, well, as long as you would like. But certainly we would recommend working up to a week of disconnection. And we understand that for many of you, this feels like an impossible request. And we can guarantee to you that if you are willing to mm, make this particular leap, for we know that it feels like a leap for many of you, that you will gain mm, something immensely beneficial from the practice. And again, there is not a rush here. We would encourage you to start as small as feels right for you, mm, and know that the noise of being constantly connected through your technology to the collective is not supporting your human nervous systems and is not supporting mm, your connection to life. Now, we do not mean to imply that you should never be connected. In fact, we very much recommend that you do still often connect with your technology. However, very few humans in the modern world are taking time to disconnect ever, aside from the times when you are sleeping. Many of you are connected almost nonstop throughout your day. So we do not wish to demonize your internet or your social media because these things are powerful tools. And you are viewing this transmission on your social media at this moment. And we are simply offering a way to moderate that connection, to remember to take time to connect to yourself as often as you are connecting to the internet and the collective of humanity through the internet. We would also like to remind you that you do have the ability to connect to the collective on a non physical level through your own inner connection to all that is. You are all able to connect to the collective without any physical 3D technology. And by giving yourself time disconnected from that 3D technology, you will also be giving yourself the opportunity to expand your ability to connect without technology to the collective. And the beauty of this is that when you connect to the collective without your technology, you have far more control over what you receive and do not receive. We will not get too deep into the mechanics of this at this time. We will begin today by simply offering this practice. And here we will pause and open for questions.
Hello. Hi. So first question.
Hello.
S- Some people say our guides are us. Is this true? Then would we just speak to our higher selves?
Hmm. This is an excellent question and one that mm, we will answer in this way. Yes and no. Yes, your guides are part of your oversoul. They are a part of your energy. And your higher self is one of those guides that is part of your oversoul. So, in a way, yes, your guides are you. You are your guides. But we would encourage you to think of it as the idea of nesting dolls. There are dolls in your 3D world that nest within each other. Often children have these as toys. There is one tiny doll inside a bigger doll, inside a bigger doll, inside a bigger doll, inside a bigger doll. We would encourage you to think of it in this way because you, the individual you, the human, is a point of focus of your oversoul. And so you are experiencing an illusion of separation from your oversoul. And this illusion is very real. It is the way that you experience human life. And so we do not mean to imply that you should not be experiencing this separation. Your guides are also points of focus of your oversoul, and you as a human will experience them as separate beings much of the time. Now, with that said, it does benefit you to begin to realize that you are the tiniest doll in many, many nested dolls that are your oversoul being the largest doll. This is a simplified way to look at something very complex, but we feel it makes the point. And so we would encourage you to remember that you are your oversoul, you are your guides, and it is absolutely healthy for you to think of them as being separate. As you begin to look at them as both part of you and separate. And we realize that this gets a little tricky because you are holding two opposites at once. But as you begin to hold both those opposites as true, you will find that it is much easier for you to access your guides and to communicate with them more clearly. This is one of the great benefits of practicing non duality. holding two opposites as true at the same time. And this non-dual thinking is an enormous part of the expansion of consciousness that is currently happening for humanity. Mm. And we are open to another question.
Um, so I have a question. So we are human, but we are also divine. I feel like this is kind of a related question. So I've heard the description that God is like the ocean, or the all that is like the ocean, and that we are a glass of water of that ocean. How would you describe what humans are like and divinity and how we're all, I mean, I feel like
Yes, we appreciate this question. We appreciate this metaphor that all that is the ocean, and a human is a glass of water in that ocean. We could take it further and say that mm, the cells and viruses and bacteria that make up your body as a human are drops within that glass. And this actually could continue on infinitely into the microscopic, which we understand is a little bit of a wah for humans to understand, because infinity does not just go out into the universe, out into space. It goes down, 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 down into the microcosm within you. Mm, And getting back to your original question, we do like this comparison that you are a glass of water within the ocean. Mm, we also would like to remind you that while this glass of water may look similar to all the rest of the water in all of the ocean, every single glass of water that is taken out of the ocean will be completely unique, with a completely unique set of microbes, with a completely unique set of mm, configuration of water droplets, we could put it that way. And so, yes, the water is water, just like the rest of the ocean, and still every glass of water out of the ocean is unique. And so, we would like to remind you that while you are part of the great whole, you are also very unique. And to take this even one step further, you, as a human, hold all of the universe within you. You are a fractal of the universe. And this means that you have access, potentially, to all universal knowledge. Now, with that said, mm, the human psyche and the human survival urges and biological needs often distract from this access. But know that that access point is within each and every one of you. And mm, many of you, all of you have the potential to access that. Many of you actually incarnated at this time in order to access that. We are ready for another question.
okay. Um, this is from I am a teacher. Am I doing the right work for me?
We appreciate this question. First, we would like to remind mm, the human asking this question that there is no right or wrong here. And right or wrong is not necessarily the wording that we would like to use. However, we believe that what you are asking is, are you serving your dharma, your purpose, by teaching? And what we would say is yes, and that may not always be true for you. We would encourage you to feel in to your own experience of teaching at this time. Does it feel joyful and fulfilling? Does it feel draining, small? Does it feel like it is making you smaller? these are important questions for you to answer because if it is joyful and fulfilling, most of the time, we do not mean to imply that it will be perfect and that it will always be joyful and fulfilling. But if most of the time it is joyful and fulfilling and exciting, then it is still very much for you at this time. You are still very much mm, on an expansive path, we shall say. Now, if it feels draining, if it feels tiring, if it feels like it is making you smaller, then it is time to make a change. This does not have to be a massive, enormous change. You can begin by making little shifts. We would suggest this. What are some things that you could bring in to your work as a teacher that would feel exciting, joyful, or fulfilling, even if they seem far outside the box? We would encourage you to consider bringing some of those ideas, elements, ways of teaching into your career, into your work as a teacher, and seeing if you feel more joyful and fulfilled. Now, it may be that you are ready for a great leap. Perhaps there is another job, another career that is feeling joyful, fulfilling, exciting, and very likely a little scary. We would like to remind you that one of the great signs that something will expand and benefit you is when it feels joyful, fulfilling, exciting, and has a scary edge to it. Because very often that scary edge will take you into an unknown, which is why it feels scary. But that unknown is where miracles happen. That is where life can expand in beautiful ways that you could not predict. Mm, we will leave you with this. We are ready for another question.
Let's see. What is are my greatest gifts?
Hmm, this is a lovely question. The human asking this question is already quite aware of their gifts, but is in a little bit of denial around them. And so, what we would like to remind you is that your voice and your throat chakra are one of mm, your most powerful areas, one of the most powerful parts of you, and one of the areas that house a great gift. Your voice, for you, is meant to be used. And we would encourage you to lean into this by beginning to first speak more truthfully to the humans around you. There is an excellent opportunity in this question for you to begin to hold firmer, stronger, healthier boundaries with the other humans in your life. And as you choose to do this, you will open and expand and clear your throat chakra in a way that will then allow you to use your voice, the gift of your voice in your work, and to lean in to working with your voice. Now, there are many ways that one can work with their voice. There are opportunities like speaking, storytelling, writing. There are also opportunities like singing, and using the voice as an instrument. All of these are available to you. And first, it is time for you to hold yourself in wholeness and to advocate for yourself, to put yourself first. You have put others before you for a very long time, and that is becoming less and less tenable, as you have noticed. We understand that this is a little scary, and we would encourage you to lean in to that fear, to do the thing that is a little scary. You can take baby steps at first. You can begin by simply saying no. more often. Saying no without much explanation. You do not need to explain yourself. You can simply say, no, I cannot. No, I am not able. No, I would not like to. This is a beautiful starting point. And from there, mm, advocating for yourself more and more and more. And this will lead to you being able to use the gift of your voice in ways that you have not yet imagined. We are ready for the next question.
Okay. In what ways should I prepare for my manifestation to come in?
Hmm, this is a lovely question. And what we would encourage you to do is not prepare. We understand that this is a little counterintuitive. And the act of preparation can actually sometimes inhibit the ability of your life to unfold. And your manifestation, mm, a manifestation is something that will unfold in divine timing and in your life. And so we would encourage you to allow that unfolding. You are approaching a very beautiful period in which much of what you have wished to experience and feel will begin to appear in your 3D reality. And so, what we would encourage you to do to prepare is not prepare. Simply be present in the now. Allow yourself to feel the emotions that come in, whether they are positive or negative. Allow yourself to be very present in your now moment throughout your day and allow yourself to follow the breadcrumbs that appear in the now moment in your present moment. There is no there is no preparation, physical preparation or otherwise, that needs to occur for your destiny to unfold. You simply need to be present in this moment, which is the only true moment, and this moment and this moment. The present is the ultimate reality. And so we encourage you to mm, get very comfortable in the present, to worship the present, if you will. And what we mean by this is understand that the present is the most important time. It is the most important part of your life. And so be in the present, and your life will unfold to allow your manifestation. We are ready for another question.
Sorry, my microphone was turned off.
Okay.
Um, this individual wants guidance or advice on navigating an extremely big, difficult, incredibly hard situation.
Mm. We appreciate this question because this is true for many, many humans at this time. Mm. Much of humanity is experiencing a reckoning at this time. Humanity has grown and evolved and expanded in a mm, in a life-denying direction for some time now. And while this is not universally true to every individual, this has been the case for the majority of the collective. And this is something that can be very easily seen simply by looking at the destruction of the planet Earth. Simply looking at the unsustainability of many of the systems and practices on the planet at this time. And so, as a collective, humanity is in a moment of reckoning. The earth is no longer willing to mm, grow in the direction of destruction. Life is no longer willing to mm, allow the destruction that has been occurring. And so, this collective reckoning that is occurring is also occurring for many, many, many humans on an individual level, because, like we said earlier, each of you is a fractal of all that is. And certainly, each of you is a fractal of the entire human collective. Now, we understand that this is very vague and general, what we have just said, and that this question does relate to a human's true individual challenging experience. We do not wish to skirt over that or make light of that. In this particular situation, what we would call for you to do is one, to feel your grief deeply. Do not avoid your grief. Allow yourself to cry. Allow yourself to express pain, sadness, sorrow. Allow yourself to lean into your grief. Grief is a very powerful, potent human experience. And grief, on the other side of grief, there is often immense beauty and expansion, but only if you allow yourself to fully experience your grief. So, first, love your grief, lean into your grief. Second, we would encourage you to be gentle with yourself. You do not need to be perfect. Find ways to soothe yourself. Find ways to be kind to yourself in this very challenging time and through this challenging experience. Mm. We would also encourage you to remember the things in reality that bring you great joy and bring some of that joy into your experience. Balancing deep grief with moments of joy is very, very powerful, and we would highly recommend it. These moments of joy may be very small. It may be going for a walk and noticing some wildlife or beautiful trees. It may be eating a snack that is very special to you and feels good. It may be sitting with a human that you love and perhaps laughing. It may be watching a comedic or joyful film, reading a joyful book. All of these are possibilities of how you may bring bits of joy into your life experience while you go through this grief. We would recommend that you determine what is most joyful for you. And ultimately, remember that this experience is not forever, that it will pass, that it is deeply painful, and that it will the pain will decrease eventually. And we understand that when you are deep, deep in grief, it is not always possible to see that it will not last forever. And we encourage you to get into deep states of grief where you cannot notice that, where you do not feel that. It will be healthy for you to sink into your grief deeply in this way and allow yourself to express it. Crying is very essential. Mm. And from a zoomed out perspective, we do want to assure you that it will not last forever and that you are going to find your way through this situation beautifully. You have the tools for this. And we are speaking to you, the individual who asked this question. You have the tools within you. And you know this to be true. You have a deep knowing of that. Mm. And we are complete. We are ready for another question.
Okay. We have 10 minutes. Let me pick a question.
Wonderful.
Can you help us understand telepathic communication, learn or improve that skill?
Hmm, this is a wonderful question. Telepathic communication is exactly what will improve and increase when you engage in the practice that we mentioned at the beginning of our transmission. When you begin to unplug from the internet and the physical 3D connection to the collective, when you give yourself breaks from that, it will allow you to deepen your non-physical, your spiritual, we could use this word, connection to all of humanity and to the collective. This is really what telepathy is. It is connecting with fellow humans through the non-physical realms. And the truth is, you are not exactly connecting. You are just remembering the truth that you are one and therefore accessing each other's fields of information and energy. And so this becomes easier and more clear when you give yourself breaks from the constant physical connection to the collective. And once again, we want to urge you not to get into black and white thinking here and thinking that the internet and social media are bad and that connection is bad. That is not what we are saying. We are simply saying that more balance will allow you to engage more deeply with the part of you that is able to connect non-physically to the collective, and therefore the part of you that receives telepathic communication. We would also encourage those of you who are interested in this type of communication to practice with each other, to unplug from the mm, phone, the mm, internet, the social media, and other forms of media, and meet in person, face to face, without the distractions of technology, and actually practice sending each other thoughts. This will require a high level of integrity. It is important that you are honest with each other when what you perceive is not what the other human was sending out. And this practice can be very powerful in learning to tune in to another human's information field. You could also do this practice in groups, but once again, we would encourage you doing this outside of your internet, outside of mm, technology, and without technology being part of this practice. These are the most powerful ways in this moment that you can begin to play with telepathic communication. And one more thing, we would also like to remind you that being very present in the now moment and sinking into your heart space are the most basic beginning steps for connecting with the non-physical realms. Most of the humans watching this transmission already have begun to get present in the present moment, have already begun to focus on their heart space and leading through the heart versus through the mind. And we just want to remind everyone that those practices are precursors to any telepathic communication. We are ready for another question.
So we have 5 minutes. And I think you sort of addressed this question, but if you wanted to say more, um, please could you explain why I've been so tired lately? I feel utterly broken. Am I broken?
Yes, we first of all wish to offer our compassion to this human and the many, many, many humans who are experiencing this in this moment. We would also like to point out that for many of you who are in positions of leadership at this time, whether that is in the spiritual realm or not, many of the humans in positions of leadership at this time are particularly feeling the rumbling of a new way of being, the rumbling of a new beginning. And so many of you are being asked and called to step back, to take a break, to breathe for a while, to disconnect a little bit more often, because there are going to be new ways of connecting, communicating, leading that are coming into being and are truly beginning to come into being at this time. Mm. And so, first of all, we would like to say, no, you are certainly not broken, although we understand why it may feel this way, because there is a death occurring within you. There is a death occurring within many of you. There is a death of the old paradigm and the old ways of doing things. And it is uncomfortable for humans when change occurs at this level, because this is profound change. And so, this feeling of tiredness is your system, it is your body, it is your, we could say, oversoul that is calling you to go inward, to focus more on self and less on your leadership for a brief period of time. This is not forever, but allowing this tired feeling to guide you will allow you to then benefit from the new ways of doing things that are emerging. And over time, you will find that a new way of being is going to emerge for you. It is going to feel aligned. There will be clarity in the future. But right now, it is time for you to step back a bit and rest and know that it is not forever. Your year of 2025 is one of great transition. Your year of 2026 will also be one of great transition. And so we would encourage all of you to begin to honor and listen to what your systems, your bodies, that's how your system speaks to you, what your bodies are telling you to do day to day, week to week, month to month, even when that message feels like it is in conflict with what your mind thinks you should be doing. Your body knows. Trust it. And with this
Okay.
question, we are complete. Are there any further questions that need to be answered?
Not at this time.
Wonderful. We thank you for engaging with us in this way. We thank you, Frankie, for asking these thoughtful questions. We thank you to everyone who submitted these thoughtful questions. And with love, we are complete. Mm. Mm. Interesting. So, I, if you would like to reach out to me, about anything that just came through, sorry, I'm a little woo after I do this. But if you'd like to reach out to me about anything that came through in this transmission, please mention to me what Ozenan said, because I don't retain much of this in my memory, at least not at the forefront. And usually, if you mention, Ozanan said this, then I'll remember it. It's almost like a distant memory. So if you reach out, please remind me of what was said. And I would absolutely love to discuss what came through if anyone does want to reach out. You can message me on Instagram. You can send me an email through my website, and that information's in the description box. I'm also going to have Frankie's information there so that you can connect with Frankie if you would like. Um, yeah, Frankie, how are you doing?
I'm good. One of the questions I got to ask um, flowed through with one of my questions. So it's kind of neat to have that kind
Hmm.
of connection.
Oh, I love that. I love when that happens.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay. So one more thing for everyone listening. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Then you'll see when new ones pop up. Also, take good care of yourself for the next 24 to 48 hours. A lot of energy moves through these transmissions. So drink plenty of water, be gentle with yourself, be sure that you get enough sleep for the next day to 2 days. Um, Always good ideas, but especially important after this transmission. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a beautiful month, and we'll catch you next time.